What is the plight of women in the Muslim world? Is there a barbaric side to Islam? What is the real truth? Join David Cirillo as he goes in depth with author and speaker Brigitte Gabriel on this special edition of Inspiration Today. What you need to know about Islam.
Hello and welcome to Inspiration Today. It's hard to believe another year has passed and 2008 is already here. The number 8 in the Bible has special significance. It's always associated with new beginnings. I believe 2008 is going to be a year of significant new beginnings in many areas. One growing area of concern for us here in the United States or those living in Europe, and in fact the whole Western world, is the subject of Islam. Are we being told the truth about global terrorism, and do our political leaders even know or understand what the truth is? Just what is the threat of Islam to Christianity, to the Western world, to our entire way of life? Christians, and for that matter anyone living in the West, can no longer pretend that Muslims live on the other side of the globe, or that what they believe doesn't affect us. Jesus told his followers to go into all the world to preach the gospel to everyone. But before we can even think about sharing the gospel with 1.6 billion Muslim people in the world, we need to educate ourselves. What do Muslim people really believe? What does the Quran really teach? For the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about the very important subject of Islam, what you need to know. Why you need to know about Islam will become clear throughout these programs. We'll be talking here in the studio and live via satellite with former Muslims, former terrorists. We'll even speak with people who at one time boasted about the number of infidels they killed. An infidel, according to the Quran, is any unbeliever in Islam. That would be most of you watching. We'll also be talking to respected experts on the subject of Islam and terrorism. What's the difference between Christianity and Islam? What's the difference between what the Quran teaches versus what the Bible teaches? I don't know about you, but I'm asking myself, what's my responsibility in the face of all this? And how do we love Muslims to Jesus Christ? Today we're going to be talking to Brigitte Gabriel. Brigitte is a native Arab. She's a terrorism analyst. She brings a first-hand account of her personal experiences living under Islamic Jihad. Brigitte grew up in South Lebanon, where she found herself as a Lebanese Christian under attack by militant Muslims and Palestinians. A barrage of Muslim rockets exploded in her house, leaving her wounded and buried under the rubble. Her family lost everything. She was forced to live the next 7 years in an underground bomb shelter. Little food, little water, and little electricity. She's been a news anchor for an evening Arabic news broadcast seen throughout the Middle East. And Brigitte has dedicated her life to educating millions of uninformed Christians in America and throughout the world about the threat of radical Islam to Christianity, to world peace, to our national security, and to our way of life. She's the author of the New York Times bestseller, Because They Hate. She's also a regular guest analyst on the Fox News Channel, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, and others on the subject of Islam and terrorism. But before Brigitte comes today, I want you to see a video clip from a DVD that we'll be making available to you later on today in the program entitled Islam, What the West Needs to Know. Take a look at this.
We saluted the Prophet as he stood praying, and he came out to us, and we told him that we had killed God's enemy. He spat upon our comrades' wounds, and both he and we returned to our families. Our attack upon God's enemy cast terror among the Jews, and there was no Jew in Medina who did not fear for his life.
The hadith very clearly says, the hadith, which is what Muhammad said, I have been ordered to fight until everyone says that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. So this is how Islam spread to North Africa. This is how Islam spread all the way to Indonesia. This is how Islam spread in the Middle East. Syria was not a Muslim country. Lebanon was not Muslim. Saudi Arabia even was a mixed multitude. All throughout the Middle East, that's how Islam spread. It was by the sword. This is why you don't see any synagogues in Saudi Arabia. You don't see any churches in Saudi Arabia. Christianity virtually is non-existent. Even in my village in Bethlehem, Muslims are taken over. There's only 20% left of the Christian population. In Lebanon, Christian Lebanese are moving by the droves. Hezbollah there is very active. Lebanon used to be a Christian nation. Now, all of a sudden, it's being Islamized. So, Islam is moving.